Good evening, everyone. Once again, it's TSSR Weekly time here live from Sports Corner at 124 in Macomb, Illinois. I'm Dwayne Hulett. Kenny Suter is back alongside this week, and I did not mean to get your mother all worried last week by mentioning that you were not feeling well.
Yeah, especially when it's just like a small 24-hour bug, barely a fever or anything like that, and she calls in thinking I'm having a heart attack, and no, are you okay? Or is there something wrong? Do you need to go to the hospital? I'm like, no, I'm fine.
Mom, I'm old enough to take care of myself. If I needed you, I'd call. So if April's watching right now, or Andy, you can relay the message. Kenny's okay this week, no problems. Regular seasons for the fall sports pretty much all coming to an end this week. Volleyball on TSSR Game Time Live is done for the most part, unless we do some sort of postseason thing. And the last football Friday of the regular season is this week. We got Coach Horrell here to talk to us in a little bit on TSSR Weekly. And, I mean, seems like it just started yesterday.
Yeah, this entire year is going really too fast, too fast. Between everything, like when you said we were getting our schedules together, and I said, all right, so does West Prairie play Friday or Saturday? And I say, well, it's Friday against Bushnell. It shouldn't be the end of the season at this point.
Yeah, it's came way too quick, that's for sure. And it's one of those deals where, ready or not, here it comes. The cool thing is we have two football teams going to make the playoffs that we cover. West Prairie Southeastern is going to make it in I-8FA, and Macomb is going to make it in IHSA, 11-man. And then it's just kind of up in the air to see where Macomb ends up. We know where West Prairie Southeastern is going to end up, right? Because there's 30 teams in I-8FA, and they were ranked about 11th, I think, coming into this week. So if they can win, they'll be right around the 10-9 mark, which means they'll play somebody very competent to them. If Macomb can go undefeated and they can get into the 3A bracket, they'll play somebody who should be 5-4-ish. The thing about that, and we'll talk to Coach Horrell about that, and we're going to talk about some other stuff too, but the thing about that, when you start talking about 5-4 teams and 3A and 1A and whatever, just because you're 5-4, a lot of that has to do, are you in a 4A or 5A conference? Or are you in a 1A conference? Or are you in a whatever? Who did you lose to? Who did you play? The Bombers played some good teams, and they've played some small teams, but they've taken care of business, and we'll talk about that as we go along here tonight. So a lot of fun stuff to come in the show. We got some highlights from Macomb Bomber football, and it's the Jeter, Reiner, Duncan, Langdon Allen show again. Seems like it would be a reoccurring theme. And West Prairie Southeastern got a big win that secured them a spot in the playoffs.
Yep.
We'll talk about that. We've got some Bpc Volleyball, and we got some West Prairie Volleyball to come in the highlight section. We're also going to have Coach Schneider and Dalton Strode on a little later. Dalton Strode from Bpc was a state qualifier in IHSA Class A golf, and he made it to the second day, which means he improved every year that he's played volleyball. Yeah, he probably would improve if he played volleyball too, but we won't. Maybe I should ask him if he wants to try that next year. Of course, he's graduating, so they probably have a men's club team wherever he's going.
We'll have to check up the film of all the Ironman competitions. I bet he did get better in volleyball the past 4 years.
You're probably right. We only did like 2 of those. So, did we do 3? 2 or 3?
I think only 2.
Only 2, because the first year we did this, it was past that point, no homecoming. So, we're going to take our first break. We're going to have Coach Horrell on here in just a few minutes, and we're not going to give any secrets away, folks. So if you're from somewhere else in the state and you think you might be playing the Bombers, no secrets to be had. We're just going to have fun talking about players and how he's making it through his second year as head coach for the Bombers. So we'll take our first break, and we'll be back here on TSSR Game Time Live. It's not TSSR Game Time Live.
Not.
It's TSSR Weekly. It's just the TSSR, and the rest just rolls off the tongue. It's one of those nights. So we'll be back here on TSSR Weekly, live from Sports Corner at 124 in just a couple minutes.
I went through MDH when we were trying to get pregnant. We were struggling the first year, and then when we got pregnant, I stayed at MDH and through labor and now for pediatrics. My experience was nothing short of phenomenal. I was met with amazing staff members who helped me through concerns that I had when she was first born, helping me learn how to be a new mom. It was really reassuring and comforting knowing that I had so much support and kindness around me. My entire pregnancy at MDH was amazing.
At Western Illinois University, leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there is limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
And welcome back to TSSR Weekly, live from Sports Corner at 124 in downtown Macomb, Illinois. Coach Tanner Horrell from the Macomb High Bombers alongside now. Coach, kind of a storybook year in your second year.
Yeah, it's been a great season so far. We still got a lot of work to do, but it's been a fun couple months so far.
Well, I've covered most of your games. I think I've only missed one. And we've talked, I talked to you after the game, and we finally said, are people going to finally take you guys seriously? The cool thing that I've noticed about you guys, and I think you have to be proud of the fact, is you have not let anybody really control a situation all year at any real point in the game ever. Even the only times you were down, which was at Elmwood Brimfield, that was your mistake that caused that, and you just came right back down the field and drove. You guys have taken care of problems even when you made the problems yourself.
Yeah, our guys are just focused, and we're a loose group. Like, they like to have fun, but they know when the lights come on, it's time to go, and it doesn't matter who's going to line up against us. You only get so many opportunities, so you got to take full advantage of them. And our guys have done really well with that so far. I'm proud of the effort they've done every game.
I haven't never done this before. I think I'm going to play our highlight video a little bit later, the highlights that we have from the football game, and we can talk about the plays, and we'll do the highlights. Kenny and I can do the highlights again later, but we'll take a look at those. But it's funny, I had JT and Jaden on the show on the game afterwards while you were talking to Justice, and another ho-hum 3-touchdown performance for JT. I mean, it's just becoming like old hat for him, it seems like. Yeah,
and, he probably
should have
could
have
have more.
He should have had 4. It's funny, he has 3, and the only thing he talks about is the one he did.
Yeah, and I would say every week, sometimes we just don't throw the ball as much as we could. He's just super talented, and he goes and gets the ball, and he's got great skills when the ball's in the air and go gets it. He runs great routes, and then it doesn't hurt that he has Langdon on the opposite side, so they can't double team him all game, or Max running the ball so they can't just all drop in coverage. So
then he's got Jaden Jones running underneath and running the little shovel pass, and you got Ian Case that's coming out of the off the tight end spot, and Hogue. I mean, we talk about the guys who get the most, but it's all those other guys that make all that stuff, I don't want to say easy, but easier for those guys, because like you said, they can't focus on any one thing on your team.
Right, and a couple years ago, pre-COVID, we felt like we had some good receivers. I'm not going to say JT's level, Langdon's level. I mean, they were really good, but we didn't have a running game to go with it. So those guys would just pin their ears back on defense and go after our quarterback and play good coverage, and we couldn't do anything. So this year it's nice that you can't just focus on our pass game. So that allows us to have a little more success outside.
I think Havana, Elmwood Brimfield are the two games that come to mind that weren't 40-point games, but both could have been 40-point games. Yeah. I mean, you guys had two touchdowns brought back on penalties, one dropped that went right through the hands of JT Jeter, which never happens. And then at Elmwood Brimfield, turnovers gave them points and kept you from scoring, because you guys pretty much scored every time you had the ball.
Yeah, I felt like we left points on the board in both those games, and that Elmwood game specifically, our offense is what set their offense up on 2 of the scores. So we feel like we haven't played our best game yet, and I don't want to put any team down, but we just felt like we could have played better in both those games, and we came in Monday and watched film and felt like we probably could have won by 40 if we would have executed better, and that's something we're gonna have to do going forward. Is we're gonna have to have every possession. We got to execute. We can't take plays off. Not that we have, but we got to execute a little better.
Yeah, I mean, just because you don't execute doesn't mean you took a play off, right? Sometimes things happen, and you understand that's going to happen,
and
right?
the other team's trying to stop us,
right?
So,
So I mean, it's not like you're taking plays off when mistakes happen. but you still want to alleviate those mistakes, right?
Yeah. I mean, those missing the blocking assignments, it's going to happen here or there. But it's when it happens consistently, and when we're missing the same block each play, that's what we got to clean up, and things like that. You know, we've done a really good job. Jack's done a really good job of taking care of the football, and we're going to see some different coverages going forward. So we're just going to have to really focus on that and try to do a good job of that. Because if we can take care of the football, I like our chances of moving the ball. So
I gave Jaden a hard time. I said, I could talk to Coach Horrell and see if I can get you a few carries out of the backfield. Essentially, I mean, I make a joke about that. Essentially, that's what the shovel pass is,
no, 100%.
Right? I mean,
it's just get the ball in his hands.
Right. It's almost a handoff.
Yeah, and we've lined him up there a couple times in the backfield. And if we didn't have Max and Denzel running the ball so well, we probably would, you know, and maybe that's something we look at in the future. If it was more of a need, I think it would 100% he would be back there. But right now, we're comfortable with where we're at.
Right, and that's what I was trying to get, you know, when I was giving him a hard time about it. You know, it's like you got to find ways to get people the ball. I mean, you remember T.O. said, just give me the damn ball, right? You know, just give me the damn ball. You got like 5 guys on that team that are saying, give me the damn ball.
I look back and look at our stats sometimes. I'm like, we only got the ball to JT 3 times, and we only got the ball to Langdon 4. Like, what are we doing? But
then you got the ball to Langdon 4, you got the ball to JT 3, you got the ball to Reiner 8 or 9,
Yep.
you got the ball to, you know, Denzel Cochran 2 or 3 times. You got the ball to Jaden Jones 3 or 4 times. And then suddenly it's –
Unfortunately, we're up 40, but unfortunately, we're up 40, and now we can't, you know, do some stuff that we want to do.
And that's another thing. You know, I don't suppose that what am I going to try? What am I – I want to be – I don't suppose that stats are an important part. But in order for kids to get individual recognition, they need those stats. Yeah. It's hard to get kids a lot of stats when they're only paying a half or 3/4 of a football game, right?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I'm in the same boat as you, was trying to figure out how to say it. You know, like it's fortunate that we've had some successful games and only played a half, but it's also unfortunate that those guys didn't get 4 quarters of playing football.
Part of that also goes back to the defense, right? I think which is the kind of the unsung hero of this team is, and it's a lot of the same kids. You know, Jeter's great in the defensive backfield. Jaden Jones is a shutdown corner. You got linebackers that we don't talk about much because one of them's a center and one of them is a fullback, which seldom carries the football.
It's a lineman for us.
Yeah. So you know, those guys are, and they go into the linebackers. You know, Lindsey May and Ethan Ladd are huge. Yeah. Reiner comes from the backfield, plays linebacker just as well pretty much as he runs the football. Yeah. And then you guys got the guys that catch the ball and run the ball on offense are doing the same thing on defense essentially. Yeah,
you know, and a lot of it goes to our guys up front that you don't see making the plays but taking on double teams. I mean, James Meredith is a beast up in the middle, one of the strongest kids on the team, and he takes on 2 blockers, and that frees it up for Ethan and Lindsey to kind of flow to the football. And Ian's been a great addition setting the edge, and Hunter Kendrick is always, you know, taking on blockers and making plays when he can. And then we can rotate some guys in there, Brandon Sprinkle, Malachi Butler, just kind of giving our depth on the D-line. So we feel like those guys kind of set the tone first, and then our linebackers are able to flow to the ball. And if we can get teams in passing situations and we can pin our ears back and get after the quarterback, and then you got Jaden, JT, Langdon, Braden, Carter apparently can make a pick.
I'll tell you what, that pick that he had, I can't remember where, at LVC when he ran it back for the touchdown. I was working with Tegan, and John Burton was running the camera, and he was standing right beside me. And they both looked at me when we went to commercial after. He goes, "How did you called that before before it happened?" And you know, you watch a lot of football, and you know this. You can see things. I do it with racing all the time. You can see things coming, right? And you saw where the quarterback was looking, and you saw where Hogue was. It's there, right? I mean,
he made a great play.
He was there, and I said, you know, all he has to do is catch it.
Yep, and then with Joey, I mean, he dropped a couple of touchdowns last year, or maybe not touchdowns, 2-point conversions. So it was the first time getting in the end zone, and he was so excited. It was great to see. You know, he's running around like a little kid, celebrating. He ran off the field, and my dad said something like, "Act like you've been there before," and he goes, "I haven't." So it was perfect.
Well, that's what you want. You want people to act like they've been there, but sometimes when you haven't been there,
Yeah, but you got to have fun.
You got to
it's
have
a
fun,
game.
right? Yeah.
It's
I mean, especially when you haven't been there before.
Our kids are a lot better when they play with that kind of swagger and enjoyment. Because, you're playing a game. Everything's doesn't have to be super serious,
Well, let's take a look at these highlights. We'll go through them with you, and then we'll go through them with Kenny a little bit later. I think I got the right ones. I do.
Right.
So here we go. MHS and Havana, and I can pause these occasionally. Here's the first touchdown pass, and we talked about on the post as it goes right into the middle, and there was JT. And every pass, we're going to show one later where he catches the opposite side back in the corner of the end zone, right? And this Eli, I think it was Eli Olson is number 7.
He's a good player.
He's going to be a good – I think he's only a sophomore.
Yes.
He's going to be good, but JT made him look like he was struggling a little bit.
We knew when we were getting trips to the field and we had JT on the backside, we were going to get that one-on-one coverage. And from that point on, it's just how are you going to defend him?
So here's
kind of give him the middle.
Here's Reiner's 51-yard touchdown run. Breaks a tackle there, breaks another tackle there. He did this on 3 different occasions, but only got this is right here.
Yep.
Right there. I was like, that's
we saw that one on Monday during film. We didn't even block that play very well. That's just a great individual effort by Max. And then
here's Langdon Allen's touchdown pass, 41 yards.
Yep.
There he had to kind of come back for the ball and spin around and had a defender wrap him up.
It was good to see him get in the end zone. A lot of times he gets tackled somehow at like the 2-yard line.
So he had a nice catch. He had more yards again, but less touchdowns. Yep. And here's the Fog Bowl. Were you concerned? And there's another inside cut for JT. Now, were you concerned at all when that fog started to roll in? I mean, the same thing happened at Elmwood, and I don't know if it was fog or smoke at Elmwood.
I think that one was smoke.
Was it smoke
at
at
Elmwood?
I think
that one was smoke.
We couldn't smell it, but this was fog, and it followed you guys down the field. And Kenny, when he brought this to me, he said, yeah, man, it was raining really hard. And I said, no, it hadn't rained in about 45 minutes at that point, but the fog was looking pretty thick.
I thought it looked pretty cool. We wore the all orange jerseys, and Jaden wanted to do a trick play where he laid down in the end zone.
And here's a more JT Jeter-esque kind of catch there, is into the back corner of the end zone, and that seems to be his forte. Jack finds him in that position a lot.
Yep, we like to throw it over the top, and JT and Langdon can go get it. So if we do a good job of putting air under the ball, JT's been making plays over the top of people, since he's been here. But it really took off this summer when we were at Western Camp. He was going to get some great DBs from Peoria High, Rock Island, Rich East, Davenport West, and he was going to get some great corners and kind of going over the top of them, making his move on them, and I think we just gained a ton of confidence there.
He mentioned in the post game the other day that he's obviously got football in his background, but he's also obviously got basketball in his background. He said his moves at the line are taught a lot from the basketball court with the crossover dribble. He uses that same motion to get off the line that he uses when he does the crossover dribble.
It's a good release.
I'm sure you're one of those coaches that like to see the kids play other sports, right?
100%. So if we could have all of our linemen and running backs wrestle and then get all of our receivers to play basketball, we'll be all right. Jaden, Langdon, JT, Drew, Braden are all basketball players. Ian, they're all basketball players, and they're our best receivers. And then up front, you got Ethan, James. I'd love for Hunter to wrestle, but I think he's still playing basketball. Max is a great wrestler. Carter's a great wrestler. So if you can get that mix, you're going to have a pretty good football team. And then if you don't play baseball, I want you to run track because speed's the name of the game.
And you can see Carter that mentality he has on the football field has to translate well to wrestling too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's fun. I don't get to a lot of they don't have a lot of meets, but when they're in Macomb, my dad used to coach, and I love going to wrestling meets, even though I'm a basketball coach, and watching him wrestle. And last year, I think it was a sectional game. It was the blood round to get into I think it was sectionals to get to state, or I can't remember. But he was down like 14-2 and ended up pinning the kid. And that's kind of the mentality he has on the football field. It doesn't matter what's going on. He can make the next play. So I love Carter's energy.
That's one of the – I think you have a team full of kids like that, it seems like. When they have made mistakes, they don't stay down. It's just like, okay, we'll just come back and we'll go right back at it.
Yeah. It's next play up. That's kind of the mentality. We tried to start feeding that in last year. things aren't always going to go your way. They might take the opening kickoff back for a touchdown, but that doesn't mean the game's over.
Doesn't mean you can't do the same thing, right?
Yeah, right. Win the next play. And this team's really kind of bought into that. An example would be that Rushville game week 1. We didn't go – we went 3 and out the first possession. And then they had, a 4th and short, and they busted for a long run. Jaden chases them down, and I think 2 plays later we get a pick. And, that changes the whole game. Who knows? If they go down and score and we kind of hang our heads, who knows where week 1 goes and where the rest of the year goes. But Jaden chased the kid down.
And when you say chased him down, it was 10 yards behind or 15 yards behind at the 50, and he caught him at the 12 or 13, I think.
Yeah, he was 15 yards behind him, and that's the speed he's got. So we chased him down. I would say that moment right there kind of has defined our season.
You guys, I shouldn't say you guys, you have been around Bombers sports your entire life.
Yeah.
People, obviously you truly bleed red, but somewhere in that head of yours, it's orange and black, I'm sure, right? How special is this to be able to be coaching Macomb and on the cusp of what you hope to be a undefeated season?
Yeah, coaching here and being the coach on the football team is something I've dreamed of since I was little. I remember going to the pub and drawing up plays and giving to my dad, and he actually called one. But that's just always what I wanted to do. Like playing Madden growing up, it was the idea of coaching. And when I was a player, same aspect, same thing. And going to college, I was able to film for Western my freshman year. And then I just got right into coaching like JFL and just building up. But it's awesome. It's been a long time coming, and we've had our ups and downs. We struggled for a few years, and I was calling the offense, and we couldn't move the ball. And now it's nice to be on the other end of it.
Obviously, when you're coaching, even if you're a Macomb homie, for lack of a better term, right, you're still going to get that chirping, Being from Macomb, was that harder for you, you think, hearing some of those complaints when you weren't doing things the way, or were you pretty much like, look, I know we're not doing as good as I want to do, so I really don't care what you say?
Yeah, I don't really listen to the noise, we had the noise then about how we weren't doing very well, and people want to blame whoever, which was nonsense at the time, and now people want to blame that we're not playing anybody. So you can't win. So why even listen to them?
Yeah.
People are going to hate no matter where you're at.
Yeah. No matter if it's going good or going bad, somebody's
doesn't
going to
matter.
complain.
Someone's going to complain, and
obviously you have your supporters and
yeah. That's a small group.
You're married and you have kids.
Yeah.
So obviously that you have one huge supporter at home, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. My kids and my nephews are blessed. I think one night I came home, I can't remember if it was South Fulton or what game it was, but my kid woke up at 2 a.m. and asked how we did. He's a 3-year-old and asked how Jack Duncan did. So they're obsessed. I think he tells me every day to tell all the guys that said hi. He loves Jack Duncan. It's going to be tough next year when he's not.
When he's not wearing
orange and black, he's wearing purple and gold, but we'll take that.
That's another thing. You got some kids that I think have aspirations to play, and you've got kids that are going to play college sports. Jack obviously has already signed at Western. He's going to agreed to go to Western anyway, but it's not in football. It's in baseball. Obviously, it's not in the sport that you coach him in, but that still has to make you feel good that one of your players is moving on, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think we got a bunch of them on this team that could go play different sports. We got kids that could go play basketball. We got kids that could go wrestle. We got kids that play baseball, track. Just seeing all of them be successful is the goal. Not we want to win Fridays, but seeing them grow up and do things is really the end goal.
Well, you being JFL coach, you've probably coached these kids most of their football careers.
So these guys, I had, would have been. They've been way gone now that I had in JFL, but like Evis Campbell's group, so that would have been 2 years ago, the COVID season, that senior group I had in JFL. And
so these guys came afterwards.
Yep, and then I had these guys in junior high basketball, so I've kind of had them. We've been through a lot of stuff, I taught them all at Edison, so I've known them since 4th grade, and it's a fun group.
What's it been like following in your dad's footsteps a little bit? Has that been fun for you, or Or do you have that competitive thing? It's like, well, if I can do this, I can say, when I go to Christmas or Thanksgiving dinner, I can say, Dad. I mean, how cool would it be for Thanksgiving dinner this year to be coaching and say, hey, Dad, I can't come to Thanksgiving dinner because I'm doing something you've never done.
We'll take it one game at a time, but at some point, hopefully we can do that. We can have Thanksgiving in, Northern or at U of I, but we got a long way to go. We got to win one game at a time, and until we get to the semis, I don't think it matters. He's always going to one-up me there.
Yeah, I guess it really doesn't matter when you do it. Just be nice to do it once,
Just do
right?
it, yeah, just some point. Hopefully we got a long career, and we can do it a few times.
How cool is it to be coaching in Macomb with like Western here and being able to get kids to see, Western's struggling football-wise this year, but you got a guy that you know real well coaching there now, and I think Myers is going to do great things. Yep. Just got to give him time. How big of a benefit, you mentioned that you're at the Western 7-on-7 camp. How big of a benefit is it having a school like Western here for you guys? Oh,
it's huge. And, I played with Myers. I've grown up with Myers since he moved here when we were young, and played baseball, football, basketball together. So we've got a good relationship. We can always ask him questions. I think they have a great staff out there. It goes past Myers, Their line coach, Coach Frana's got a kid in 8th grade that's going to be in high school next year. So I feel like we can always reach out to them and kind of learn from them. And then the idea of going to their camp every year is awesome because we're going to play some great teams every summer. We're going to go at them with throwing the ball, running the ball with some big schools. And I think it's a great resource to have. Most towns don't get that, get to have a D1 program there. So it's just a great resource. And then, our kids get to go and do the game day visit. They did one a couple weeks ago, and Myers asked again today if some of our guys want to come out and go through the pregame and get a free ticket to the game. So awesome.
What's it like being friends with Myers now? I mean, obviously that you knew the coaches that were out there before, but how much different is it for you guys to be like former high school players, and now you're both the football coaches in town? He's the D1 coach, you're the high school coach. Has that been a fun little get-together deal, or do you guys get to talk about it much at all?
I think since he got the job in the spring, there hasn't really been a time that – he's been busy nonstop, and there's no, hanging out in the fall anyway. It's hard enough to see your family, let alone see other people. So not yet, but hopefully in the future we can kind of hang out and talk outside of football, but –
What's your prediction for Myers? Obviously, he's had a ton of success, and as a coach, you kind of got your struggles out of the way early, right? With when you were an assistant.
Yep.
Now you're having success. He's got the pedigree, and the knowledge, right, to do. What do you see happening at Western?
They got a lot of young guys right now. So I think he played 7 freshmen against Minnesota, which is insane. Go play 7 freshmen against a Big Ten school that got a chance to win the West. So I think they're good at going. He's won everywhere he's been at. He's did really well out in Kansas. He did well in Iowa. So it's just going to take some time, and I think he's going to get that in Macomb. People are going to be patient, but it's also good to see the excitement with Myers being the coach. I think that's just going to help, and it seems like he's doing a good job of trying to recruit some local kids and some high school kids, and then if he can get some bigger some transfers out of the portal, I think it'll take off.
That's a thing that I guess that coaches at a level above you are pretty lucky, right? They can go out and find players. All they have to do is convince them to come.
Well,
right?
They're lucky, and they're not so lucky because then their kids can also just say, "Well, I don't like how it's going, so I'm out of here." It's just a whole different animal, we get who we have walking the halls, and they have to go find theirs. So I don't know if I'd want to do that, but.
You're pretty happy with what you have walking the halls right now.
I am. If we get a couple more linemen coming in the next couple of years, I'll be real happy. No, I love the crew we have, and we got a great junior high staff that's had a lot of success the last couple of years, and we think we just hopefully keep the train rolling.
Well, you had Barkley playing some second half stuff. You have Holdhouse play against LVC. Where do you go? Obviously this season's not over with yet, but part of this nice thing probably about not having to play your first string the whole time is you get to see those younger guys. I heard some people say, why are you playing Barkley? He's a sophomore or whatever. Holthouse got to play. I mean, everybody, I think Holthouse is the heir apparent maybe for next year. Obviously, you're going to play, but you get to see some of these kids, right? And you can see what they can do and see what you maybe can move people around and pieces and put in place, right?
Yeah, and there's more that goes into it than just like who we're throwing out there in the second half of a blowout game. Braden is a key contributor to our varsity, so we're not going to throw him out there and allow him to take a beating and then lose him. Not that we want Jackson to go back there and take a beating either. But
Jackson's job is a backup quarterback in that instance, whereas Braden's job is corner and whatever else.
And how much experience. It's great for Jackson to get back there and kind of see the speed of the game, but most of the time we're just handing the ball off anyway. So he's not. I mean, he's thrown a couple passes and he's done really well when he's throwing the ball. Him and Drew have connected on a couple. I think he got Jack Beal catch once. So he has gotten that experience, but most of it is just handing the ball off.
And at that point, really, in all honesty, it's not like he's – other than LVC, I don't think he played varsity. He played – I mean, he was playing in the varsity game, but he wasn't playing the other team's varsity, right?
Right.
So you're playing some of the varsity team, but –
there's been some games where you do whatever you want with your team. And sometimes when you haven't had a lot of success, you want to keep your starters in. But there's been some quarters after halftime that our second JV strings played – some starters from the other team, and there's nothing wrong with
LVC was
that.
one of those.
Yeah, I mean, most games.
Some of that had to do with the fact that LVC does not have very many kids, right?
Right, and I think Farmington left their starters in for a series on both sides of the ball, and more power to them. We were in the same boat last year, when we went over there and we got kind of ran on there, and you want to have success and you want to build on something. You don't want everything to be sour note.
If you can end with a touchdown,
right?
If you can get the goose egg off the board,
right,
it makes you feel pretty good.
100%.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming. I guess I haven't really announced this yet, but we're going to do a watch party Saturday night. Have you been informed about that yet?
Yeah, Jason Duncan reached out to me last week, which we're going to kind of try to set something up here anyway. But he just sent me the details, and I got to send it out to the team here when I get out of here.
Yeah, so we're going to be live on Saturday night about 7:30, I think. And we're going to do a bunch of interviews and talk to coaches and players and all that kind of stuff and talk about what's going on. And then we'll be able to see the 1A, 2A and kind of talk about that a little bit. And then hopefully you guys will be in 3A, maybe 4A. We'll see.
Who knows?
We haven't talked about that, but we'll save most of that for then because we'll talk to you before. But what is I've asked you before on post games, and I don't know if anybody watches the post game interviews, but pretty much you just like, well, we'll play whoever's in front of us, right?
Yeah, we don't get to choose it. We'll play whoever comes. I think I got it down to a couple teams in 4, and I got it down to a couple teams in 3 that we'll probably face, and we'll be ready to go, whoever it is.
So,
if we take care of business this week,
9-0 would make you pretty sure to have a home game, probably.
I thought I saw something from Sochi, I think I said his name right, the guru up north, that there's never been a 9-0 or 8-1 team that hasn't hosted a round 1 game. So we should be looking like we're okay.
So then after that, you want all the seeds to win.
If we get the upper seeds to win.
If you can get the upper seed, and you could be a 1 or a 2 seed, if you can get the upper seeds to win, you let all the upper seeds win, and you can stay home. Right?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about how that works later on. But if both teams that win played home the week before, the team with the highest seed gets to host again. The team that the lower seed, if they played on the road, then they'll get to host the next week. So that's how it works. And I can't even keep track. I was at the IHSA meeting when they were at the I8FA this year, and they divided into 16 now, a north and a south, or an east and a west, or something like that. And then, so you're probably too young, but Carthage and West Prairie, or Carthage and Northwestern,
I watched that game on TV.
Played in the state championship game in Bloomington, and they're literally in the same school district now.
I watched that. Was that?
That was 96, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. A long time ago.
No, I remember that game. It
was a long time ago, and I mean, there's been replays of it. And, I mean, it was a fun game to do. I did that game on the radio, actually, so that tells you how old I am.
Wow, yeah.
So, at any rate, well, Coach, I'll let you get out of here. I appreciate you coming up here and talking to us, and hopefully we didn't talk about everything that we'll have Friday night to talk about on Saturday anyway.
That's right.
Before I let you go, what do you expect out of Illini West?
They're a desperate team to get in the playoffs, so we're going to get their best effort. They got a quarterback that's mobile. He can throw the ball too, so we got to really lock in there. They're going to be spread. They did a little more tight end the last week. Defensively, they're going to be hard-nosed, and so far they've packed the box, so we'll see if that trend continues, and we'll just continue to try to take what they give us.
Well, packing the box with JT and Langdon on the outside seems like a death sentence to me. But
yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what we get. We'll see what we get.
I don't know if that's the case. What game was it that somebody did that, didn't they? Or Farmington played everybody
up. Yeah, they
up.
play everybody up, and they try to get to the quarterback. And this year we did a better job of protecting Jack. Last year we did not, and our receivers did a better job of getting off the ball. So
Jack just threw some up, and
those guys
he knew where he could go get it, where they could be, and I think that's the thing that people don't understand. And I told somebody this is your guys throw balls to each other like a Division I team throws balls to each other. You can watch teams throw deep, and they'll complete 20% of them, and 5% of those 20% will be on target. You don't have to change your route or whatever. I mean, Jack has to be completing at a completion at 75
right now.
75% completion percentage, and he's throwing deep balls in stride a lot of times. I mean, that's the thing that people I think are missing out of this whole deal. These guys are doing this like upper level college kids.
A good job of getting their timing down, and I've gone with the line this year, and Coach Wilson's done a really good job of doing the routes on there and getting everything timed up. And Jack's done a great job of delivering the football, and those guys know how to kind of adjust. They can if it's kind of outside, they can adjust their routes a little bit or change the speed of their route if they need to. So it's just been a good connection so far, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Well, we'll see how they do on Friday night as they travel to Illini West, and it's an important game for Macomb, but maybe more important in all.
It's always important,
but more important for them.
Yeah.
If playoffs are what you're looking at, it's more important for Illini what you guys are in.
Yeah.
But this is another one of those games where you guys have to be there, right?
It can be a trap game, 100%. We've known we've been in, and I think the excitement keeps building for the playoffs. But we gotta lock in and be ready to go Friday night, because if we think we're gonna just walk in there and get a win, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, Illini West has a history too.
Yeah,
and that's a history of winning.
Yep.
So, well, thank you much. We greatly appreciate it. We'll be back on TSSR Weekly live from Sports Corner at 124 in just a few minutes.
I chose the MDH OBGYN group because I've heard wonderful things about Dr. Smith. And upon entering the office, I really got along with everybody and got a warm feeling. The staff is warm and inviting and welcoming. It's a small community, so it's a really nice hospital to have here in the rural area. I continue to choose MDH because of the relationships I have. I really enjoy everybody here.
I'm a pretty calm, cool, and collective guy, but... Sorry, what's your name? Yeah, Evan. Hi, Evan. Yeah, we have no internet. Nothing. I don't know. It just stopped working.
The internet is down.
I know, I'm on the phone with them. No, that was my wife.
I can't get online again.
Yeah, I'm talking to Evan. No, my daughter, my wife. Okay, can you guys not talk? Sorry. Yes, we have the white boxes. I see one. They got horns on them.
It's the one with the horns.
Yes, I see one. We have 11 of those.
I was on the phone and I got disconnected.
Okay, it's not about you. We switched our broadband service provider. Devin put in 11, Evan. How are we supposed to know which one's 7 and which one?
I thought it was Devin.
Who's Devin?
I got no service. Honey, you're blocking.
You can't stand there. You're blocking it. Don't block it. And the best part, I never have to speak to Evan or Devin ever again.
I think this one's 11.
11? We're not looking for 11. No, are we looking for 7, Evan, or 11? We have 2 next to each other. That's bad. 2 white boxes. Evan?
And welcome back to TSSR Weekly, live from Sports Corner at 124. $1 traditional wings tonight. If you feel like grabbing some food and coming and hanging out with us, there's still time to do that. How about you, Kenny? You going to eat anything tonight?
I don't think so. I think I need to get back and do some homework. Midterm week for Western. It's the only time that me, as a broadcast student, really ever gets homework.
So it's homecoming week and midterm week.
Homecoming week and midterm week. So it's going to be a really tough week, but it's going to be the first game that I can actually watch at Western. First one I've ever been to. 4 years at Western. First game I'm ever going to be able to go to.
You went to didn't you help with any football broadcasts at all?
Nope. I was working with you.
You did basketball broadcasts,
I did.
but no football.
I did basketball, baseball, and softball, but I never did any football.
Well, then football was the year that we weren't, the fall that we weren't doing it, football was, they didn't have football, did they? No, they did a spring season or something like that?
They did an odd spring season thing, and then my freshman year, I was a freshman, so I didn't work for Western. Actually went over and did some Macomb High football my freshman year.
Well, there you go.
Not knowing that I'd be sitting in that on top of the crow's nest multiple times back.
There you go. Well, we've been there before, haven't we? So let's talk about some highlights. Let's look at the first one. It's Bpc Volleyball against West Hancock, and it was the Spartan tournament, and here is Elizabeth Gilfillan's going to end up getting a kill here. The Spartans lost to West Hancock in 2, but here's Gilly, I do believe. Nope, that's not Gilly. Who was that? Did I have it wrong? I think that was
either that or they said the wrong name on the broadcast. When I go through and do my highlights, find something that looks good, wait till they say their name and go with it.
Here's Lentini on the kill down the middle of the floor.
That's Janet's special spot. She loves hitting that back corner, and it works way more this year than it did, especially last year. She's finding it exactly where she wants to put it. Another one out to that side. First set ended 21-18. It was a tournament, so they went to 20 instead of 25. Very close game. Spartans came back with a huge momentum shift. However, once it got into that second set, West Hancock came out with about an 8 or 9 point run. So you can see 10-2 as we get set up here for the second set. Not much of anything happened in that second set for the Spartans, but a couple of nice shots down there on that side.
Was that Elizabeth?
Yes, that was Elizabeth.
Sister Suter, and an ace by Gilly right there to end the highlights for the Spartans. They lost 20-18, or 21-18, 21-8 was the score as they played to 21. Next up will be West Prairie Volleyball against the Rushville Industry Rockets.
This was the Kinley Will show, as happened multiple times this year, as she's just utilizing that power that she gets so high on those shots from the perfect set from Venonic most of the time.
And here's Welsh going to come back with another one here, this time on a bump set from the right side on the serve receive, and she gets the kill there. A little softer. And then Ava Beck is going to get one here, I do believe.
And this one goes right through the block attempts, as you'll see. Hits off one, hits off another one, gets through. Rushville was playing high up, trying to defend against any type of big sets or big shots coming.
From the back row was Venonic there with the kill, and that's something you don't see a whole lot from West Prairie, but a good kill from the back row. And here comes Kenley Welsh. And that ball, I want to replay that one. That ball went nearly up to the camera. I'm going to see if I can pull that back just a little bit for you folks. Take a walk. Watch this ball as it comes all the way back. John might have had to take evasive action here, John and Greg, as it comes back up about 5 rows up into the bleachers. And then it becomes the Kenley Welsh show again. Couple kills. And then this little tip right there, something a little different for her, but she gets the kill. Nonetheless, sometimes it's not about how hard you hit it, it's where you send it. Next one's going to be West Prairie Southeastern against Alden Hebron and the Giants, and it's Giants 6-0 here. And here comes Jensen Laughlin. He goes right on what was supposed to be a sweep to the right, cuts it back against the grain, and then the wrap-up right here. He had an angle on Laughlin, and Laughlin just outran the angle for the 75-yard touchdown run, and it was a 7-6 lead for the Cyclones. And now here's the hitch and go for Denver Mitchell, and it's deja vu all over again for the Cyclones as they did the same thing to the Patriots last week.
Those two plays are exactly how they scored pretty much all their touchdowns last game against Peoria Heights. Coming out a touchdown pass to Owen Rigg. Owen Rigg getting more into the passing game. Normally he's been there, 3 yards in a cloud of dust in that I formation. They're really working well nearing the end of the year, especially where they need to go. And right here, Jesse Johnson, he's been the return man all year, has had a couple long ones, finally got one to the house as he does a little hesitation move, finds where the opening is, and slides all the way through for a long run. And didn't even seem like he stopped running at all. He just waited just a second and then kept on pushing through.
Yeah, that little hesitation will get him a lot of the time, and that's what happened there. And we're going to look – we looked at the Bombers highlights with Coach Horrell, but we'll look at those again right now as MHS had a tough one against Havana in the first half anyway. It started out as they were towards the end of the first half. Here's a pass to J.T. Jeter from Jack Duncan, 19 yards, and the Bombers got on the scoreboard first. And they made it 8-0. And then Havana answered and tied it at 8-8. And then after that, it was pretty much all Bombers from there. Here's Max Reiner breaking a tackle, keeping his feet moving. And Carter Hogue, I was giving him a hard time because right here, that very well could have been an unneeded little – I was waiting for the flag to come. It did not come. So it is a touchdown of the 51-yard run variety for Reiner. And here comes a pass to Langdon Allen, a 41-yard touchdown pass down the left side, a little behind him, but he went to get it, broke a tackle, and then ran in the last 5 yards for the touchdown pass. And at that point, it was 20-8 Bombers. Now up 22-8, and Duncan again hits J.T. Jeter for his second touchdown. Again, coming to the middle of the field, which we've seen him go to the corner a lot. Hadn't seen him come to the middle of the field a whole lot this year, but he did it twice on his first 2 touchdowns, and now this is more J.T. Jeter-esque here as he goes to the corner of the end zone and goes up and gets it over Eli Olson for Havana, and J.T. Jeter catches his 3rd touchdown. And I said it a while back in passing, Kenny, that it's just a ho-hum 3-touchdown performance for J.T. Jeter. He, no big deal. I'm going to go out and catch 4 or 5 passes, 2 or 3 touchdowns a week, and it's not a big deal.
That's pretty much how it is for Macomb. It's not like they've been steamrolling any of these teams. They have to work hard to get all of their touchdowns, but they just keep on consistently coming. So that's why I'm excited to see playoff time, especially that first game. I believe they can have a really good shot to get a good run, as long as they don't overlook anybody that's going to be a 5-4 or 6-3.
Yeah, and that's the thing is the 5-4 teams, and we'll talk about this on the show on Saturday night, but 5-4, 6-3, depending on where you come from, that doesn't mean you're a bad team. If you're playing 7A schools and you're a 3A team or a 4A team, you're going to be pretty good. Yeah. If you got into the playoffs in that scenario, you're pretty good. Macomb used to be that team. Macomb used to play a really hard schedule, and they'd come in 6-3 or 7-2 and kind of be overlooked a little bit, and then suddenly they're getting to the semifinals and they've got 9 or 10 wins because of that. And that's just one of those things. I mean, that's why playoff football is so exciting. You don't know the teams you're playing generally, and you don't know what to expect.
And you can't always judge off of the record or what they traditionally have done. Just looking, from experience for me playing with Bushnell, you don't really think Farmington and Elmwood are in different classes than you entirely when it comes to, the A's. I'm so used to seeing them every year, playing them every year, and I'm like, man, these guys are consistently good. And it seems like every year they get to the playoffs, and that first game was always going to be a dogfight, no matter who it was, because it was just that wake up, oh crap, these guys are way better than we thought. A lot of times, especially Elmwood, they punch right through, wouldn't even worry about it after that little hiccup. But, consistently, there's always that wake-up call coming. So that's why you got to, as a coach, got to tell your kids, hey, it's going to be tough. No matter what, it's going to be tough.
Well, one of the things that we did this weekend is actually Coach Snyder said that they are here, but one of the things we did was corn husking for the first time. We did it as a broadcast for the first time. We have some video of that, but we'll take a break. We'll talk to Dalton Strode and Coach Snyder here in a few minutes, and then before we get out of here tonight, we'll talk about what's coming up this weekend, and we'll show a little corn husking. How's that sound to you?
All right.
We'll be back here on TSSR Weekly, live from Sports Corner at 124 in just a few minutes on TSSR Game Time Live.
After my appointment that day, I just made up my mind that I'm going to have my baby here in Macomb and this hospital, because irrespective of where you're from, who you are, it's just their line of duty to make sure they give care, make you comfortable,
I told them about the staff of MDH. You know, they're all good. And you will get all the support you need. This is just the best place for you and your family.
At Western Illinois University, leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there's limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
When my parents told me they'd be using Adams Experts, I felt a bit replaced. I mean, they always called me to remove their viruses or get their printer connected to Wi-Fi. He even set up their new Roku.
How do I adopt a new son?
But then he taught me a few things. And now, we're like tech brothers.
Adams Experts. Repair, maintenance, and setup for all your home technology needs.
The industry-first 2-in-1 removable agitator from Whirlpool gives you 2 ways to wash. Jeans, in. Sweaters, out. Towels, in. Comforters, out. You decide. Whirlpool.
And welcome back to TSSR Weekly, here live from Sports Corner at 124 in Macomb, Illinois. Coach Snyder, golf coach, part-time football coach, basketball coach, floor sweeper.
Junior high track coach.
Junior high track. You do a little bit of everything.
I do.
Push that thing close to your mouth so everybody can hear
There,
you.
is that better?
That's better.
Okay.
And Dalton Strode, who is, for the second year in a row, up until this point anyway, the only athlete in Bushnell to make it to state in anything, besides, I guess, track, right?
Yeah, correct.
Track is, they didn't make it, some people make it to track, but Dalton, another successful year on the links?
Yeah, it was nice to go to the second day this year at state because last year I didn't do too hot my first day. But leading up to state this year, I kind of didn't have the greatest regular season. You can ask Snyder. My game was kind of off and on every now and then, but I was able to pull it back in for playoff time, and that's when it really mattered.
No, we talked to you last year when you made it to state, and outside of track, I think last year we talked about Coach Snyder. It was like 20 years since a team or somebody had made it to state. It had been a long time outside of track that anybody had made it to state.
Yeah, I think you and I had gone back and forth about how long that had been, and we looked at the wall and kind of figured it out about 20 years or so.
Yeah, it had been a long time. So last year, your first year of golf was COVID fall, right?
Yes.
And you did pretty decent that year. Then the next year, your goal was to make it to state.
Yeah.
And you did that. So every year you've gotten farther along. Does that mean you've gotten better? Or does that just mean you've gotten lucky?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both, really. Yeah, every day I've gone a day further. Me and my family was actually talking about that, and they're like, that's kind of cool. But, yeah, I don't know. A little bit of both, a little luck, a little bit of improvement.
Coach, what do you think?
It had nothing to do with coaching, I'll tell you that. No, he definitely did. He struggled sometimes this year. I think he wasn't happy with his game this year. I think a lot of that contributed to his summer this past summer. I don't think he got around as the golf course as much that he did the previous summer. Really concentrating on baseball. He's a heck of a baseball player, so that you kind of take into consideration the baseball swing and the golf swing. They're a little different, but when you're playing baseball all summer instead of golf, it takes a little longer to get your golf swing back.
And you were playing baseball all fall too, weren't you?
Yeah, well, we had a fall league in Galesburg, so every Sunday we were playing 2 games.
So you spent like Monday and Tuesday getting your golf swing back?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
As a golf coach, you have to love that.
I absolutely loved it. We made it to, got out of regional, and I said, I don't think I want you playing this next Sunday. I don't think you played that next Sunday, did you? Did you play Sunday after regional?
I feel like I had something that next Sunday.
Maybe you did play Sunday, but anyways, after sectional, I told them, you're absolutely not playing on your fall league on Sunday.
But
you did not. So.
But you did play fall league the Sunday after the state tournament, didn't you?
I did. So actually, I had a homecoming. The day of the second day of state, and so I changed in a Steak and Shake parking lot in Peoria and went to homecoming, and then woke up early the next morning and went and played 2 baseball games.
I don't know if that's craziness or dedication.
Well, there might be a little bit of stupidity, but he's a young high school kid. So
I do want to point out that wasn't your homecoming; it was your girlfriend's homecoming, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we both know that if it's your girl, you had to.
Yeah.
He had
that's
to
what
do
I told
that.
him. I said, if you make it to day 2, you're gonna be stuck because I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I said, well. She came and saw you day 1 at state, so you better go to her homecoming.
You better figure out how to make it.
Had to get there one way or another.
And you even made it in time for some pictures I saw your mom shared on Facebook.
Like 2 or 3 in front of a Hy-Vee. It was pretty awesome.
2 or 3 in front of a Hy-Vee.
It was awesome.
Is she still your girlfriend?
She is.
That's kind of amazing. you better hold on to that one.
She puts up with a lot, I can tell you that.
Yes. Yeah, that's so let's talk about baseball a little bit then. So obviously, I know that golf was a thing you got to state in, but you've played baseball. I mean, obviously you played golf too, but baseball's kind of been your team thing with the group of kids that are playing. That's all been a thing for you guys, hasn't it? I mean, like the Masons and the Pals and that group of people have all been together, right? You guys have all been playing together. This senior year, is that going to be the sport that's the most feely for you as far as when it comes to an end?
Yeah, I would say so because, like I said, like you said, we've been playing with those kids since I was 3rd, 4th grade maybe. So I think after we win a state championship in baseball, that'll hurt a little bit more.
I like the goal set.
Well, and we laugh about that, but you guys are going to have a pretty decent baseball team.
We need to. After last year, we should have won a regional. We should have won a regional last year. We didn't play good, and so now we're motivated, way more motivated than we were last year to win this, and we all know that we have a good shot at going pretty deep into the playoffs.
So what you catch and
I
do
catch
all
and
kinds
I play
of
middle infield. So.
Yeah. So what's your choice if you just had a choice? What would it be, catching or middle infield?
I don't know, man. I like catching because I like being in control of the game. I like controlling how fast it goes, and I like being involved in every play. But shortstop, you're also kind of like head of the infield. Everything, like you call off every fly ball, everything's yours. So I don't know. They all have their special place in my heart, you could say, for positions.
So you have to coach this kid on the golf course.
I do.
And then you don't even get rid of him because you have to coach him on basketball court too.
I know.
Which is, I'm going to say this both ways. Which is better and which is worse?
Oh, yeah. You want to answer that for me, Dalton?
Go ahead. You got it.
Well, maybe we ought to ask him first.
Okay, which is he a better coach in, golf or basketball?
Oh, yeah.
Now, keep in mind, basketball's still coming.
Yeah, right. I know. Record-wise and playoff-wise, I'd say golf.
Oh, listen, that's a pretty good answer.
I mean, I'm not really wrong.
That's a pretty good answer.
It is a pretty good answer.
That was a pretty good answer.
It's a little different. I don't know if he's ragging on his teammates or not there, but no.
No, I think he was ragging on your basketball coaching ability.
Probably.
But you guys have some. You lost a few kids, but you got some kids coming back and a pretty good fresh soft team that you guys have to feel like you have a pretty decent shot to be pretty solid again this year for basketball.
Yeah, I agree with that 100% with what we have coming back. I think I did a feeler who's interested and whatever, and I think there's 9 or 10 seniors that are interested in coming out, and 6 or 7 juniors. So it's going to be. Playing time is going to be, if you're not doing it, then it's next man up.
I think he just laid down the gauntlet for you, buddy.
I think he did. I think he did.
But the good thing is that our practices should be really competitive. We lost some good players last year, and I think the guys coming up are just going to fill right in to make it that much more competitive for us this year.
You'll be a little smaller, I think, this year, won't you? I mean, height-wise, overall height-wise.
I can't give away secrets.
I mean, just looking at a roster, you're not gonna have quite as much height, are you?
I can't give away secrets.
It's not. Oh my goodness. Who did you recruit somebody? Or you not?
I can't give away
secrets. Somebody
might be an opposing coach watching this.
Somebody grow a foot,
possibly.
Somebody, Dalton, did you grow a foot?
Well, I'm dunking now. So.
No, he's not. I tell you right now, folks, he is not dunking. Other than donuts.
Soon to come.
Cookies and milk.
Yeah, cookies and milk and donuts. No, we do have some height this year. We are fairly long. And fairly athletic. But
I didn't remember any height coming back.
Well,
oh, I guess you do have some. That's right.
No, you don't know.
Well, but I can think of a couple. Now that you mentioned that, I can think of a. I won't bring them up since you don't want. Since you don't want me to.
I can't give out secrets already. We haven't even season haven't even started. They're gonna be like, oh great, what's Bushnell got now?
Yeah, we're gonna say he's got 6'5" guys, and he gets out there and he's got a bunch of 5'10" guys.
Yep, exactly.
Pretty much.
But Dalton, you're kind of when you get on the basketball floor, you're not afraid to loft up a tray occasionally. You're kind of all over the place. And
that look.
Is that the look you get during the game a lot too?
It's usually what are you doing? Until it goes in, and then it's one of these because he has different emotions on the court. But
does he do that on the golf course too?
Oh yes.
No.
When he's not carrying a trash bag full of popcorn, his facial expressions are pretty.
The problem is when Dalton went like this, that's after every golf shot. Dalton doesn't go where he wants. He turns and looks at me and goes like this, like it's my fault. And you would be surprised how many people have come up to not only his mom but to me and been like, how come when Dalton doesn't hit a shot that he wants to hit, he turns and looks at his coach and gives him one of these and is like, why is it coach's fault? so I'm sure maybe that's why I give it back to him in basketball.
So I don't even know how to respond to that. But so what are you looking forward to about basketball then, since that's the next thing up for you?
Means baseball season's right around the corner.
That's great for the basketball coach to hear.
No, but
it is.
I'm excited. I'm excited because senior year. So hopefully, I think we'll be pretty good this year. And just practices are usually pretty competitive and fun, and especially when we scrimmage. So looking forward to that.
So obviously, growing up in Bushnell, you played some golf apparently at some point.
Yeah.
But until COVID or without COVID, you would have never gotten to play golf in high school.
Yeah.
And without Coach here kind of stepping up and being the golf coach, you wouldn't have gotten to play golf. As you look back on what has turned into a 3-year golf career at Bushnell, what's your feelings on that?
Yeah, I mean, COVID, I think that was the only thing COVID was really good for when it comes to me. But, yeah, I mean, Coach Snyder really helped put in a lot of time and effort for the golf team, and it paid off. We got a lot more numbers this year than we did last year. We had a full varsity team this year. And so I think, COVID really helped.
Now, I don't know if people know this about Coach Snyder, but he's got a national championship, I think, don't you, in 8-man football coaching?
I do.
Yeah, see that smirk on his face? So I asked him when the 8-man job came up, I said, you going to stop coaching golf and start coaching football? And you do help with football a little bit.
Yep.
But you told me then that you had some good kids that wanted to play golf and you weren't going to give up. Whether it was an opportunity to be there or not, I don't know. But you weren't going to give up on golf because you had kids that really cared about the sport.
Yeah, I felt like I would have, not necessarily abandoned them, but been like, well, you know what? I was here for 2 years, and we ended up having 4 senior boys and two senior girls. Now, again, 1 senior boy and 1 girl just came out this year, so that would have been 4 seniors that played as juniors that I feel like I would have just kind of bailed on, and I wanted to make sure that they finished out their high school year, that they enjoyed playing golf, and actually, I don't think the golf program would have left because there were so many that wanted to play, but I felt like it was kind of my job to see it through for those seniors.
So how hard is it taking golf tips from a lefty?
Oh, well, okay. So our swings are really different. Like, if you watch him, he does he tells me this
Well,
all the time.
of course they are. He's left-handed and you're right-handed.
His number one saying to me is, well, I would do this, but our golf games are so much different that you would probably do this. And so it's kind of just, he gives me tips here and there, but he can't really, like, describe my whole game and, like, what I'm going to do because he plays it completely different. He hits from the wrong side of the ball on one thing.
He hits from the wrong side of the ball.
He's usually just a little further back off the drives than me because –
Go ahead. I mean,
we had
a record on online. We can
yeah,
he and I play head to head quite a bit.
Well, I think that we had a one hole in the cup with Coach Snyder last year, and I'm pretty sure you outdrove him on that hole.
I did.
Actually, in that video, I outdrove you. You just got a birdie on the hole, and I didn't. So you technically beat me, but.
Yeah, we'll see. You got that on tape, right?
Yeah.
I beat him because he never wants to admit that every time that we play, we're both pretty competitive, and he'll talk about outdriving me or here and there, but when it comes to the final score, and he just looks and I beat him, and he's kind of embarrassed, but.
You know, that's the thing about golf, just what he said, and I'm sure it has to be a hard game to coach in some respects because there are so many different ways to play it, right? I mean, some people are going to be aggressive off the tee and can't putt. Other people are going to lay back off the tee and use their short game to be better. And so, you want to show people maybe the best way to do things, but they're all going to have – I mean, it's so much different. Maybe every sport's that way to some extent, but it's magnified a little bit because it's an individual sport and every stroke or every swing matters.
Right, and I mean, Dalton said it the best. Like, his swing and my swing in golf are, other than he's right-handed, I'm left-handed, his swing is very steep, and he loves his 60-degree wedge, and he loves trying to fly the ball and make it, and spin it and make it stop. Well, I'm not good enough to make it spin, so I do a lot of punch and run and let the ball roll on the green. So there's numerous times that we go out there and I'm like, hey, what do you think about trying to do this? I don't have that shot. I'm not very comfortable. Okay, so let's think about, instead of trying to loft it, let's find a spot where we need it to land and let the ball roll out. So it is a lot of there is a lot of difference between us, but I think a lot of the things that I can communicate to him about his golf game, he can take and execute. So that's what's good.
Is it good for you on the golf course to have a different perspective in your ear occasionally to kind of keep you grounded a little bit?
I definitely think so because, like, I look at a shot one way and he's like, oh, well, you could hit this shot too or hit this shot. And when I'm in certain scenarios, like if he's not there, say when all of us were playing, he was talking to other people, it's like, okay, I don't have this shot, but Snyder told me I could hit this shot, so I'm going to hit this shot. And so, yeah, I do like having different perspectives out on the course. It helps me see, like, the whole game a little better and how to perform shots.
I will say that when we do have matches, like 9-hole matches or 18-hole matches, he's usually the first one to flag me down when that something's not going right, and it's usually a pretty frantic, kind of get over here, crazy, I need your help, compared to the other golfers we have.
Well, some of that might be over dramatic, but some of that I think has to do with the fact that he actually, not that the other kids don't care, but he had aspirations of going to state, and he cared very much about that. So when something isn't going right, he wants to figure out how to fix it too.
Well, his thing is the littlest thing can take his brain off of what he needs to do to execute. So it's kind of my job to get him back, kind of reel him into, just slow it down and take your time and concentrate on keeping your head down and hit the shot.
Is that the same? Is that what happens on the basketball court?
No, God, no.
When he runs around and dribbles between his legs 5 times and throws it up, and so because he loses track of what he's supposed to be doing?
Well, that might be true, yes. But no, he's usually not too bad on the basketball court.
Oh, he's a pretty athletic kid. I mean, golfers tend to not be thought of as athletic, but he's relatively athletic for you on the golf course and on the baseball field too, for that matter.
Yeah, and this year we had Carter Alleman and Ezra Mason come back and play, and he'd always complain that he never, he'd always play our number one, so he never really got to play with any teammates. So finally, I let him play a 9-hole match with a teammate, and
he got beat.
No.
Well,
I made birdie on the last hole to beat him, and I played really bad.
Yeah.
It was rough.
But no, I mean he has helped both Ezra and Carter, and then Dalton Yoakum came out this year, and even Carson Christensen, who's a sophomore. When I'm not there, not to say I'm not there at practice, but at practice we split up, and if I'm not with his group, he's able to help those other golfers, which is great as a coach, because in essence you almost have two coaches there, and I think that those kids learned a lot from him, and he even learned some from those guys playing with Carter and Ezra and Dalton.
So before I let you go, think back to state. Is there a shot or a hole that you think, man, if I'd have just done this, maybe I'd have finished
I'm sorry.
Maybe I'd have finished 72nd instead of 82nd or whatever?
Well, there was one hole. So the first day, it was like, all right, I'm going to compete. I'm going to make it to the second day. The second day, we were at dinner, and I was like, so tomorrow, no pressure, because I had no aspirations to win the whole thing. I just want to make it there. And he was like, just go play golf. And that was challenging at times just because I'm so competitive. But there's this one par 5. I tried to swing way too hard, chunked my drive probably 100, 150 yards, and I had to clear some water about, what do you say, like 200, 215-ish?
To land it was 270, I believe. But, yeah, so he had
about
220 or so to clear the water.
On the second shot?
Yeah, he was – we won't talk about his tee shot.
We won't talk about it. And I walk up to him. He goes, all right, what are you thinking here? I pull my driver out of the bag. He goes, oh, driver off the deck? I go, never done this before. He goes, all right, well, back off and think about it. I go, nope. Straight into the water.
So you see how much he listens.
Yeah. I've golfed some. I was never very good. I thought I was getting better a few times, and I realized I still sucked. And it wasn't. It's way more fun when you think you're no good, because you don't have any expectations of doing anything well.
Mm-hmm.
But the few times I got a birdie once, and I was like, hey, I'm getting this thing figured out.
That's right.
And then the next hole I throw the club because I realize I'm not any good. So I'm going to give you guys some mad props. Anybody that can play golf and has the stamina or the willpower to not just get utterly torqued off and throw stuff is.
Well, let's not let anybody think that he does not do that.
Okay, I don't throw stuff.
He's never thrown a club, but he does like to chuck his putter cover. Am I lying?
I don't really chuck it. I just fling it at my bag.
No. Let's not.
Does he at least chuck it in the direction of his bag?
Yes.
Well, it slipped.
No, it did not.
Well, we'll just leave that alone, I guess. Well, guys, I appreciate you coming over here and hanging out with us at Sports Corner tonight. Congratulations on getting better every year.
Thank you.
So who do you get your athletic ability from, mom or dad?
I don't really know.
I'm going to say mom.
Yeah.
I'm going to say mom,
too,
I would because say. I remember dad.
Yeah.
I'm going to say mom.
But,
no offense, Wes. Yeah, maybe a little.
It was probably less.
My golf game actually comes from my grandpa. He's the one that kind of introduced me to the sport, and Snyder knows well about that.
Yeah.
And so that's where I got my golf game. But I'd say athletic ability, definitely my mom's side.
Well, how about you? Do you have any?
What
you're
athletic
old.
ability?
Do you have any anymore?
Any what? Athletic ability?
Yeah.
No. Although except for today in
best.
PE class when what happened today in PE class when he didn't think I was going to hit that shot.
He made a shot from the block.
No, it was not the block.
No, yes, it was.
Anyways, it was like a turnaround, like fadeaway.
Michael Jordan.
And he was like, oh heck no! Oh gosh, it just went in. I was like, okay.
That's the best thing about golf, right? You can play that till like you're 70.
Yeah,
as long as you can still twist.
Oh yeah,
I can't twist.
I play with guys in the morning out at Bushnell,
In the summertime?
No, we'll probably be. Those guys will probably be out there tomorrow morning and Saturday
Before
and
school?
Sunday. No, I wish I could. But
Well, so you play with them in the summertime.
Oh yeah, and on weekends.
You should go out why can't you be out there at daybreak? I guess now daybreak's pretty
Well, now
late.
daybreak's about 9 o'clock.
7. Yeah, good point.
Plus it's cold.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Good
for
luck
having
in
us.
basketball season.
Thank you.
We'll get you on some more in basketball, and when Dalton scores 40, we'll have him back on in basketball season.
Soon to come. Soon to come.
Oh, boy.
No, I didn't say whether it was 40 all in one night or 40 for the entire year.
I was thinking 40 in warm-ups maybe.
Warm-ups?
Yeah.
Warm-up shots count?
Okay.
No, God.
I'll remember
all right.
that.
Yeah.
With that, the gauntlet has been dropped here tonight, folks. We'll be back on TSSR TSSR Weekly. I've said that like 4 times tonight. Forget where I'm at and what I'm doing. We'll be back here live from Sports
him
Corner
in
at
line,
124 in just a few minutes. He can't even keep himself in line. We'll be right back.
We're an 11-bed ER. I pride myself on every day that the patients get what they need and see a physician when they need it. We want them to be headed towards the road of recovery when they leave here. I feel like we have nurses that care so much. We're more than a team. It's a family, and we want what's best for the patient.
At Western Illinois University, leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there's limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
Welcome back to Sports Corner at 124, TSSR Weekly. Volume 2, Episode 4 is just about in the books. We've ran a little long, had 2 great interviews tonight, so that was a lot of fun having Coach Snyder and
It's
Dalton
kind of
Strode
like
on.
one and a half good interviews because Snyder was here, so
Oh,
it goes down a little bit.
Is that how? That's not very nice. Ouch. Football season is coming to a close regular season-wise this weekend. We've got games scheduled. Milledgeville is going to be back on as they have a game against St. Thomas More. That'll be a Saturday game on our Hulett PubliPro LLC YouTube channel. The fine broadcast crew up there is going to bring that one to you. We have 3 games on is it 3 games? 2 games. 2 games on.
It will be 2 games on Friday,
night,
1 on
and 2 on Saturday.
2 on Saturday.
Because we'll have Bpc at West Prairie Southeastern in Scioto. Jeff Borders and Chris Frankhauser will be on the call for that. And then we will have Macomb at Illini West. Tegan Perry and myself will be on the call. John Burton will be on the camera for that, live from Carthage, Illinois. And then Saturday, the plan is for us to go over and cover West Central Amboy, which will have a lot of playoff implications because right now it's 7-0 West Central, or 8-0 West Central against 7-1 Amboy. If West Central can go undefeated, they'll be a top 2 seed in the I-8FA playoffs. If Amboy can beat them, it'll flip-flop that, and it'll kind of screw up the whole top as it sits right now. So a lot of implications to be had there. Same way with Milledgeville and St. Thomas More on Saturday as well. So that 16-team playoff bracket for the I-8FA, which is the Illinois 8-Man Football Association, is very much up in the air as far as who's going to be where and who's going to be in and out come Saturday afternoon. They hope to make those announcements about 4 o'clock is what I read in an email from them this week. So, of course, Macomb is going to be in the playoffs. And then we got postseason volleyball, which as of now we're not going to be able to broadcast. If something changes, we'll let you know. But right now it sounds like we're not going to have any broadcasts for postseason volleyball. So that's tough for us. We'd love to be able to follow our teams through, especially Southeastern. We are working to see if we can figure something out to do Southeastern on down the line. And West Prairie and Southeastern are both play in the same regional. So one of those teams could make it out and one of them won't. At any rate, we will try our best to see what we can do about that. But at this point, with the way NFHS and IHSA work, it's hard for us to do postseason stuff. We will try to do Macomb Bomber games, football games anyway, and volleyball is the same way as Southeastern and West Prairie Volleyball and Bushnell Volleyball for that matter. Football, we'll try to see if we can do. We might end up having to do audio only if we do the Macomb games, but we'll find that out. We may need some extra sponsorship help to do some of the games as well for the Macomb Bomber football team as they move along. We'll make announcements about that very rapidly. Hey, there's the awesome moon the night of the Rova game up there. It was fantastic for about, a quarter of football that night, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. And it was coming off right, perfect angle. Pretty much the only good thing that really happened that night is it's probably one of our lower tier broadcasts we've ever done.
We struggled with internet service, and I think it was computer problems more than it was actually internet. But I'm not real. We never did figure it out. Never had the problem again. Looking back on volleyball, last week of football, what sticks out for your mind as we go to postseason?
Big thing Friday night, West Prairie Bushnell, the second ever meeting for the Iron Spike, taken by Bushnell last year. However, this year, I think that might switch around the way that West Prairie has been playing. I know Coach McCormick was giving Rodis a bunch of crap about it post-game, about him talking about, well, we're going to take this, we're going to put it in our trophy case. I bet McCormick wants to take that and then call Rodis up afterwards and say, hey, I got one of my own. So it's going to be a really good battle there. Amboy West Central, it's going to be a big game. We're definitely going to be seeing them, at least one of them, later, because those are the odds-on pick to be playing into the championship games.
Yeah, and haven't talked much about this, but we will hopefully have two or all of the quarterfinal round games and both of the semifinal round games for I8FA on our Hulett PubliPro LLC YouTube channel, and then we will have the state championship game again live from Monmouth College on our Hulett PubliPro LLC YouTube channel, thanks to TSSR Game Time Live presented by MDH, and that's going to be a great weekend. The last game was fun. That's the Friday before Thanksgiving, so should be a lot of fun. So for Kenny Suter, I'm Dwayne Hulett. Thanks for joining us tonight on TSSR Weekly. I've said that like 5 times tonight. Holy smokes. TSSR Weekly. We'll be back next week with playoff predictions and views and all kinds of stuff coming up for next week. Should be a lot of fun as we move forward as the fall season comes to a close here in the state of Illinois. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you again very soon here live from Sports Corner at 124.